In 2012, a man stood in the stratosphere, 100,000 feet above the Earth, preparing to jump. The logo on his suit wasn't NASA or a government space agency. It was an energy drink. This breakdown of the company's asset structure illustrates a towering $27 billion corporate valuation, paired directly against a physical bottling plant count of exactly 0. Red Bull is a massive global beverage empire that doesn't actually manufacture a single physical drop of its own beverage. To understand how a company sells billions of cans without owning a factory, we have to go back to 1982. A German marketing director named Dietrich Mateschitz was on a business trip to Thailand in Asia, struggling with severe jet lag. Desperate for a boost, he picked up a local tonic heavily consumed by local Thai truck drivers and construction workers. It was an uncarbonated, sugary syrup called Krating Daeng. Within minutes, his jet lag vanished. In the 1980s West, people drink soda to quench their thirst and coffee to stay awake. The concept of a cold energy drink simply did not exist at all. Mateschitz was staring at a completely blank slate. He tracked down the Thai owners of the tonic and pitched a highly radical idea: adapt the formula for Europe. They struck a strict deal. Mateschitz would take 49. Consumers hated it, reporting that it tasted like a bitter, medicinal cough syrup. Standard corporate logic says you kill the product right there. Mateschitz ignored the data. He decided that if the flavor was polarizing, it proved this wasn't competing with standard soft drinks. The weird taste was proof that it actually worked. When Red Bull officially launched, there were no millions to spend on primetime television ads. Mateschitz had to take his marketing straight to the streets. He created artificial scarcity. Red Bull wasn't stocked in typical supermarkets. It was placed exclusively in high-end nightclubs. The company pushed a brand new cocktail, the vodka Red Bull, to keep clubbers awake. They handed the keys to branded cars over to popular university students, assigning them to drive around and hand out free samples at parties. They even employed a crude psychological trick. Operatives intentionally left empty, crashed cans outside bars and college campuses to visually engineer the illusion that everyone was already drinking it. Without buying a single traditional billboard, these scrappy, ground-level tactics built an organic, highly exclusive aura around the brand. As the drink's popularity surged in the club scene, a bizarre and grotesque urban legend began circulating. People whispered that the drink's active ingredient was actually harvested from bull semen. Most executives would issue an immediate, panicked press release to deny it. Mateschitz refused. He let the rumor run wild. It was provocative, edgy, and most importantly, it was entirely free word-of-mouth marketing. The edgy reputation caught the attention of regulators. Citing the heavy concentrations of taurine, the health ministries in France and Denmark outright banned the sale of Red Bull. Red Bull spun the government restrictions into a PR stunt. They framed the drink as being so potent that authorities were afraid of it. Young people in neighboring countries began treating Red Bull like contraband, smuggling cases of it across the border. For a young audience looking for rebellion, government censorship and a gross urban legend proved far more valuable than any conventional safety approval. Selling millions of cans requires serious manufacturing, but Mateschitz refused to build factories. Instead, he outsourced the entire physical bottling operation to an Austrian juice company called Rauch. There were no massive legal binders for this multi-billion-dollar supply chain. The initial agreement was struck on a simple handshake. They were strategic about where those outsourced plants lived. Red Bull positioned the manufacturing for 50% of their global can supply in Switzerland. Operating out of a politically neutral country insulates their supply chain from sudden international trade wars and sanctions. While massive competitors like Coca-Cola lock their secret recipes in heavily guarded bank vaults, Red Bull operates with total transparency. They print their exact chemical formula directly on the back of every single can. Mateschitz recognized that the physical liquid was just a highly replicable commodity. Anyone could mix taurine and caffeine. The true, uncopyable proprietary asset was the psychology of the brand. By the early 2000s, traditional companies were still paying millions of dollars to stick their logos on the sides of race cars and jerseys. Red Bull decided to stop renting space and start buying the stage. When Ford exited Formula One, Red Bull purchased their Jaguar team outright, creating Red Bull Racing. Taking absolute control allowed them to cultivate world champions. By owning the sports teams and building bespoke events from scratch, like the Strato Space Jump, Red Bull captured 100% of the broadcast media value. Today, top business analysts barely classify Red Bull as a beverage manufacturer. Look at their investments in publishing, in television production, and extreme sports documentaries. They operate as a global media network. The physical energy drink, boasting a staggering 70